Welcome to a new year, everyone. My name is Morgan. I am still here talking about coffee, and I hope you all had a lovely winter break. I did. I'm still getting over a slight sickness, so pardon the hoarseness of the voice, but let's get into what we're talking about, which is this thing right over here. This little number is the Chefman CraftBrew espresso machine, and it had quite a little viral moment over the holiday season, coincidentally right as I went on break, which is always how it happens. However, the reason for its virality was due to the fact that for a brief period of time, Walmart reduced its price from around $100 to $50. 50% reduction, very, very affordable price for an espresso machine. So in between holidays, Christmas, New Year's, all of that, I picked one up. I thought I'd just give it a shot. Didn't know if I was gonna make a video about it. However, I have a lot of thoughts about it. Never before have I had a machine that I have so many things that I really like and also so many things that I really strongly dislike. It's truly a mixed bag here. So if you have one of these or if you've seen these online, we're gonna review it today. So without further ado, let's begin. I want to give a huge thank you to Trade for sponsoring today's video. As many of you know, Trade is the US's #1 rated specialty coffee marketplace, with coffees hand-selected from local roasters all over the country, and I've been using them for years. Your coffee subscription can be tailored to fit your exact needs, from different roast profiles to your delivery schedule. Trade's experts have taste tested and curated over 450 coffees, meaning that all you have to do is take a short quiz and they'll match you with your best fit. There are months where I want to have more blends on hand and months where I prefer to have single origins, and they've got it all. From light and bright to dark and bold, Trade delivers incredible coffees directly from roasters to your front door. Each delivery will unlock different coffee origins, varieties, and processing methods. You can be as exploratory as you want or as consistent as you want. Truly, there is a world of flavor to be discovered. So, if you're ready to stop settling for just okay coffee, Trade has got you covered with great coffee. Visit drinktrade.com/MDC to receive up to 3 bags for free. That's drinktrade.com/MDC or the top link in the description. As we do when reviewing all espresso machines, we will start with the accoutrements that you receive alongside the primary body. With a machine of this price point, you wouldn't expect very many extra things, and you would be correct. First things first, we have what is not necessarily an accoutrement, but more of a necessity. We have the portafilter. This is a 51mm portafilter, and it has a pressurized basket, or what is sometimes called a double-walled basket. If you look in the top, you'll see all these holes that your espresso brews through. However, at the bottom, you'll only see one. What happens is that after your espresso brews through this top layer, there's kind of a second layer that forces all of that finished liquid through this last hole. It creates a sort of like faux crema on top of your espresso, no matter what coffee you're using. This allows you to use pre-ground coffee, really coarsely ground coffee. It allows you to use old coffee without necessarily visually seeing anything different than a nicely pulled shot of espresso. These sorts of portafilters and baskets are very, very common with entry level, with cheaper, with beginner machines. They aren't necessarily bad, they're just a certain type of tool for a certain type of coffee. So there's this. We have the true bane of my existence, the scoop and tamp, if you will. And then this machine also comes with a single shot basket, which if you don't mind, we're just gonna set that over there. We're not gonna think about it anymore. With these types of machines, I highly recommend you set the single basket aside. We're only gonna be using the double. Now let's look at the main body. Pretty standard, you have a drip tray that is removable, along with a little bobble that will rise when the drip tray is ready to be emptied. You don't have any physical buttons across the front of the machine. This has only a touchscreen on the front. Your steam wand, which does have a decent amount of mobility. The only knob that you will be interacting with on this machine is on the side, and it controls the steam wand. You have 2 levels of power here. You have half power and full power. I don't really think there's much use in using the half power. I think most everyone pretty much always, no matter what you're steaming, will go to full power. Last of all, we have the water tank. Notably, this is a pretty large water tank for machines of this price point and also size. Typically, you'll get like about a 1-liter tank. This one is 1.5, which is a very nice amount. When I pulled this out of the box, I was tickled by how large this is. You can fill it up, set it on your counter, and you don't need to refill it for quite a while. The other thing that very much tickled me, and again, this may seem so tiny and inconsequential, but I loved it, is the lid to the water tank. With most water tanks, you can of course remove them and fill them from your sink. However, this one, the lid goes up and then it goes over. Now, again, this is a very silly thing, but having tried so many of these kind of like cheaper espresso machines, usually you're left with a lid that kind of forces you to somewhat siphon your water into your water tank. Not in this case. It is nice and open and easy to use, and you can just pour your water in from really any angle with reckless abandon. I am a very mess prone person, and this is just a nice little design thing that feels kind of thoughtful. Okay, let's turn the machine on. Again, the only button that you can kind of see at this point is the power button. Here's where we start to notice some things going a little bit awry. Now, on the screen there, you might be wondering whether I actually turned this on. You might be wondering whether I lit everything weirdly, if there's reflections. No, to none of the above. The machine is on, and also to my bare naked eye, I can barely see what's happening on the screen also. This is a very, very, very dim screen, and I did a good bit of looking online to see if this was a defect that was just happening with my unit, and no, it does seem like the screens on these units are just dim overall, making it very, very difficult to see what you're doing on the screen. However, let me at least walk you through what has now been illuminated. Starting on this side, working our way across, we have a power button, we have a single shot button, we have froth, which is associated with the steam wand, a double shot, and then something called program. This machine has two built-in presets, whether you're using the single shot basket or the double shot. They are both set by time, so the double shot basket runs for approximately 25 seconds and the single runs for about 15 seconds. Again, we're gonna be focusing on the double today. One of the nice things about this machine though is that you can override those presets. By using the program button over here and following the instructions that Chefman provides, you're able to set your own preferred amount of time and save it into the machine, so you don't have to do that every single time you're pulling espresso. One of the questions that I had when I pulled this machine out was whether I would be able to pull like fully manual shots where I completely control the amount of output based on like a scale and the weight of the shot. And the answer is it's kind of like a janky thing that you have to do. Effectively, what I have found in order to pull a manual shot is what you need to do is go in and preset this double shot to just be the highest amount of time possible, which is 90 seconds. So gives yourself the full range to work through. Then, once it's preset to 90 seconds, you can go in and just use this button as you would manually to both start and stop the shot. What happens, unfortunately, if you don't up that preset that is set with the button is, let's say you don't change anything and you're gonna manually stop your shot at about 27 seconds. You start it, but since you didn't change the built-in recipe, this thing thinks you want to stop at 25 seconds no matter what. So it will stop at 25 and you're left wondering where your other 2 seconds went. But regardless, let's pull some espresso. This tamp is not the fault of this company's. This style of tamp is so standard for this price point, and I hate it. They're just, I'm convinced there has to be a better way to provide me some sort of tamping tool at a low cost that is not this awful thing. I need a cup. Okie dokie, let's have some espresso. She's quite loud. A decent grinder, decent coffee, cheap machine yields a pretty tasty cup. This is truly the tried and true equation right there. However, while the espresso function works just fine, let's let's get to the steam wand. So this steam wand right here is what is known as a Panarello wand or a Panarello tip. It's a little bit chunkier, it's a little bit bulkier than your traditional steam wand that you'd find on like a higher end machine, and that's because this is actually a cover. It can be popped off or it can be popped back on. The Panarello steam wand is essentially like training wheels for your milk steaming. If you are not familiar with manual milk steaming, this will get you pretty much the same result every time. Not a super high quality result, but it will get you something that is similar to like traditional cappuccino milk. The milk is fluffy, it has some larger bubbles, it's pretty hard to pour latte art with, but hey, it tastes pretty good. If that's the type of milk that you like, no judgment. Great, this is gonna work wonderfully for you. However, if you are looking to get some higher quality milk, more microfoam milk that you can pour latte with off of this machine, here's what you can do. As I said before, this is removable and you should remove it. This Panarello cover essentially ensures that air is going to be incorporated through your milk through the entire steaming process. It really just like froths it the entire time, leaving you with something that you can't really change or adapt to your own preferences. So we're taking this off, we're setting it to the side. Now, the thing that I really, really love about this machine, that machines like the DeLonghi Stylosa or some of the other comparable machines don't have, is the fact that this steam wand is like, it's not rubber and it's not a separate piece here. Often with these Panarellos, the part that you will uncover once you take off the tip is gonna be plastic and it's gonna be also detachable, meaning that once you take off that tip, you have removed some of the security of that inner piece. Meaning sometimes it happens, the tip will kind of shoot off into your pitcher and make a big mess. However, this is all one continuous piece right here, so you can take off the steam wand tip without any concern of mess. And as a mess-prone person, I very much appreciate that. By removing that steam wand tip, it leaves us with one single hole that the steam is going to escape from, meaning that we now have better control over the flow of the air and the flow of our milk while we're steaming it. Also, here's where things get really exciting. I'm gonna press the froth button to make sure that steam wand is all preheated. There is also a preheat light on here that will indicate when everything is preheated. We're gonna wait here for a moment. I'm gonna open up the steam wand full blast. You guys, this is one of the most powerful steam wands I have ever seen on a machine of this price point. I kid you not, the first time I ever steamed milk on this thing after I purchased it, I was like squealing. I was so excited. Okay, but enough of me just telling you how excited I was. Let me go get a pitcher of milk and let me actually steam some milk up for you on this modified steam wand. Now, because we have very limited kind of mobility and like everything is pretty tight here, I personally like to pull my steam wand all the way out of my frothing pitcher, then I'll steam like this on the side. Additionally, this is not an insulated steam wand, so when you are handling it, make sure you use this little rubber attachment right here so you don't burn your fingers. All right, using the same technique that you would traditionally when steaming milk, you're now able to very easily add the amount of air that you want to, and then you can really get it spinning. Like I'm steaming a decent amount of milk here. All right, once it reaches your desired temperature, and make sure you clean off your steam wand. And that looks like a pretty tasty cortado to me. Okay, I did pour it very, very full. It is confirmed pretty tasty. And that is the Chefman CraftBrew espresso machine. Things that I find very hard to overcome on this machine. First and foremost is going to be the screen. This is probably the most difficult screen I have ever tried to read, and I'm telling you, this is a well illuminated space. Any sort of additional shadows or anything else will make this even harder to read. I can only imagine stumbling around first thing in the morning, aiming for the double shot and accidentally hitting the froth and just having disaster explode on me at 5:30 in the morning. Another thing, and I've seen this reflected in other people's experiences. This is a pretty dang loud machine. This is one that I would recommend putting some sort of like dampeners or like vibration absorbing material on the bottom, just because this will rattle your counter. The other thing about this machine is that it does not come with a steaming pitcher. So that is something you will have to pick up if you want to utilize the additional settings of the steam wand. Now, as far as things that I really liked about this machine, genuinely the fact that this machine has functionally a built-in timer on the screen is really cool to me. You don't often see that on these types of machines. And again, that steam wand. The steam wand is shockingly great. I can't emphasize how tickled I was the first time I ever steamed on this. Usually the tricky part about these machines are the fact that you're able to pull decent espresso on them, but steaming is a little lackluster. In my opinion, it's kind of the opposite on this machine, both from the way this was built so that you can modify the Panarello steam tip to the fact that it's just pretty dang powerful. The water capacity on the back is kind of just like a nice extra thing. It just means you don't have to pull out the machine and refill the tank nearly as often. And everything else about it is pretty standard as to what you would find with this price point. There are things that are good, there are things that are like kind of blah, but that's just within the constraints of how much it costs. Some of the things that I would recommend you do to really quickly upgrade this machine if you do pick one up, first of all, again, is getting yourself a nice steaming pitcher to use. The next one is finding a non-pressurized portafilter. And if you really want to get a good look at what you're doing with your shots underneath, getting a bottomless portafilter. That will allow you to really control and understand how your shots are pulling, whereas with the provided portafilter, it's kind of anyone's guess, and you really just have to go off of taste. So do I think this machine is worth $50? I think it's definitely worth $50. Honestly, I even think it's a pretty dang good machine at its $80 to $100 price point. There's a couple other machines on the market that are usually recommended around this price point, most of them coming from DeLonghi, and this is a pretty dang good competitor. So will this be my everyday machine? No, but if you pick this up as your starter machine, I think you're in a pretty good spot. So let me know if you have any more questions about this machine in the comments, and I will go through and answer as many as I can. Otherwise, my name is Morgan, and it's great to be back. You can find me here on YouTube once a week plus shorts, or on Instagram or TikTok almost every single day. I have a newsletter called Coffee for Here if you want even more deep dives and all of the fun coffee stuff, or you can find recipes at morgandrinkscoffee.com. That's a lot of stuff, but that's it. I'm wrapping it up now, I promise. Regardless, I will see you all next time. I hope you have a good day. See ya.